his part. He was arresting people in Bayshore, in Regent's Park, in Westmoreland. To the people who now coming on the live, we apologize for the late start on the live. We're on 104.7, as you know. We're here with my boy Ches. And this morning we have Anthony DeFour with us. He is an executive member of the Progressive Empowerment Party. We expect to be, sorry for being so hustling to get everything in again. We'll be joined by Richard Blaize shortly. He's the National Security Advisor to the Progressive Empowerment Party. And we're here and we're inside. Good morning, Anthony DeFour.
Good morning, Philip and Trinidad and Tobago. How are you doing today?
Let's jump right in. The issues here remain. And I raised this morning an issue to start a conversation. And I want that conversation to continue where we get the people of this country to actually start to think where we are, where we going as a people. Social development and mismanagement is the title of today's show, because crime is a function of a failed society. People do not hold each other and rob each other and rape each other and molest each other and beat each other, take advantage of each other, sell drugs to each other, use each other as drug mules and drug traffickers. Yesterday we saw, and the nation was rocked, because all of those people who have been accusing Gary Griffith of being a stunt artist, I mean, they actually accused the man of faking kidnappings and then solving the kidnappings. If you ever hear more donkey go bar than that, I don't know. Because the last crew, the last couple that they held, they break the man's legs and thing, the kidnapped victim. So unless Gary paying big money to have people stage them stunts, come on people, let's be real now. And I'll also say this, I am quite certain that the people of our country are capable of some of the most obscene and heinous behaviors. Some of these kidnappings may very well be people who are stunting on their own, who doing their own thing. I understand they say that one of the kidnappings had something to do with the husband and a gym trainer. So he wanted to send a message to the wife. And listen, stop wasting police time on that kind of nonsense. But what took place yesterday in Trinidad and Tobago, what happened yesterday in Trinidad and Tobago was Gary Griffith saying, happy hour done. Happy hour over. All who was getting away, all who thought that you could play and still play, because I saying still, Gary has start yet. All the people who getting excited and saying, wee, Super Gary, I seen memes, all you pace all yourself, all you going and run out. I told Trinidad and Tobago, Gary is an artist at crime management. He's about to paint his masterpiece. But I want to tell Trinidad and Tobago something. Stephen Williams made it easy for Gary Griffith, because to this day, I am still trying to wonder what the hell Stephen Williams was doing as Commissioner of Police. Good morning to the National Security Advisor of the Progressive Empowerment Party and the Shadow MP for Diego Martin West, Mr. Richard Blaize. Good morning.
Morning, Philip. Morning, Tony.
Morning,
sir. And morning to all the listeners of 104.7. Thank you for having us.
Jump right in, you know, because we're talking your pet peeve. And I want to tell Trinidad and Tobago something. I grew up with this man, Richard Blaize. Before he was a National Security Advisor to the Progressive Empowerment Party, he was my personal advisor. He's a man of unwavering integrity and impeccable ethics. So when he speaks to me on issues that I raise, because you all know I am willing to go far out on a limb. It's people like Richard Blaize that say, hey, we're going far there. As listen to him, because I trust his guidance and his advice. So when I'm dealing with issues, especially an issue like this one, the fact that Richard is here this morning to join me in this conversation, when the person who was arrested yesterday, the key person that made the story a story, Stuart Young's formerly stepdaughter, is friends with his daughter. For Richard Blaize to tell me, you had to go with this one, it shows and it underscores and it emphasizes what Gary Griffith showed yesterday, that the type of leadership that we are offering is a leadership that has nothing to do with who is your friend and who is your family. What is right, and what is wrong, Mr. Blaize.
Yeah, I want to first of all endorse that. What is right, and what is wrong. As Philip indicated, you know, that I have grown up with this family, and I know that she has two siblings that, what is the description like that, and nothing like that. she has been afforded everything that there is to be afforded to raise a child. And the typical statement applies here. You do your best as a parent, and then the rest is really in God's hands. And it's unfortunate that this has come along this way. However,
wait,
no one is
wait there, stick up in. Stick up in.
However,
you hear that? However, hanging on that word there. Because there's Richard Blaize talking. So he say, however is a fancy but. But you never hear the word but. No, you never hear the word but and expect good news. However is a fancy but. You go, bro.
In the progressive of one party, we know that the statement right is right and wrong is my own. And that applies here.
However,
they broke the law. So you have to be held accountable.
Mr. Blaize, I want to ask you a question. If you grow up, if somebody's child, because she's still young, she's still very young. I mean, all of these people who sharing videos of this girl when she was underage, whining and party and thing, they don't know they're breaking the law, sharing those videos. That's against the law, you know. According to the Children's Authority Act, I can't share a video of your child, even if it's your child serving communion in church, without your permission and your consent, because that is a minor. And she is still quite young. And I want to use her as an example because we've spoken this for a long time. And you know what this did? This put hot coals in the hands of all the people when they kill these young black men. When police or gangs kill these young black men. And mothers out there tearing their navel string out, crying over the loss of these children. And people humiliate and embarrass and shame them and say, yeah, he was a good boy. Like, people don't realize parenting is serious work.
It's an all-day job. It's a lifetime job. But at the end of the day, as far as I subscribe to the notion that you do your best with your children, right? I have a daughter now that is 27 years old. I can't tell her what to do. I have to hope that she carries on what her mother and I tried to indoctrinate in her while she was growing up. And just act in an advisory capacity to her right now. Because if at this stage of the game right now, I mean, I subscribe very strongly to keeping the lines of communications open. I have a 27-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old son who have just gone into Fatima College.
Absolutely.
And you must have a relationship that they feel that they can come to you with anything.
Absolutely.
And it is discussed in confidence. There are some things he will go to his mother and there are some things he will come to me with. And you try to have that relationship with my
But we need to encourage a society where your mother and your father could see you doing wrong somewhere in public at your age and hold you and twist your ears and tap you.
You're accountable, and my children have no problems with that. Right. My children have no. I learned.
Yeah, same thing with
Tony, let's talk this.
I have made mistakes, right? And I have had to apologize to my children. I am not ashamed to say that. Because I don't do it anymore.
But Richard, it takes a village. Nobody is beyond making mistakes.
Right.
Nobody is infallible. Jesus Christ lost his temple and mashed up a whole temple. Listen, let us be real now with each other.
She found when she was pregnant.
Well, you talking that talk. I remember when I was a kid, 9 years old, going to Summer Boys RC. And it was the first time I said the F word. It was a friend of mine coming out of class that day, right after school, and he pushed me wild game and it come out my mouth. And neighbor passing in a car, hear that to them and tell the driver, put me out right here. Run out the car, grab me by my ears, pull me inside the school, tell my teacher now on the way to the school, back inside the school, I was getting slapped on my bottom, and you know, get in the school now, the teacher, well, after hearing what I just did, start to cut my tail too. Principal passing, say, but wait now, never see this youth gain licks before. Go on to the teacher, ask what's going on. She tell him, same thing, get a couple lashes from him. He wrote a letter.
But Anthony DeFour, where did we lose this care, compassion, consideration, and concern for each other? Where did we lose that as a society? Richard Blaize, when did Trinidad and Tobago stop being a nation where every creed and race, because I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago. I grew up in Woodbrook. Where I grew up, I tell people, my friends, I call in the name, Bruce Pushet was a red man, Denel Kaulisa is an Indian, Leonard Ejil, our version of a white boy, Colin Young, my next door neighbor, was my best friend. My clip was the United Nations, me half of 1%, all of we there together grow up in Woodbrook, living normal. It's only when Trinidad get a little bit of money and my family ups and move with the Westmoreans that I understood that there are different people for different seasons. I didn't know that.
I'll tell you something, and it's strangely enough, I was having this conversation with my son this week. we were going all the way to school. He was looking at an outdoor lawn, a lawn on the outside of somebody's home. And there was a distinct line where the boundary was drawn. In other words, where the person cut their lawn up to and left the other part, which is about 10 feet, uncut. And I was explaining to him, because when I grew up in Blue Range, the houses then, and still right now, still like that, they have no fences. And when we were cutting our lawn, we would go straight across to their front lawn, and vice versa. When they were cutting their lawn, they would come straight across to our back lawn, and always did it like that, right? So, but those things don't exist anymore. You don't find people doing that anymore.
But you living in a Trinidad now, where people buying mango. You ever thought when you was growing up, mango could have sell? Mango was thing that you used to rush and pick it up and put it on the front wall so people could take it, because mango falling in your yard.
Philip, before I left Trinidad, I remember not seeing burglar-proof on
Brother,
roads.
we growing frangipani instead of mango and avocado and guava, where we could eat food and share. I'm trying to understand who did this to us. Who told us in Trinidad and Tobago that this isolate people, shame them, blame them, embarrass and ridicule them, isolate them, segregate them, Bill Gates, and call yourself, I am exclusive. There are people in this country who want to live in a gated community, inside a gated community. Now we reach ultra exclusive. I remember 10 years ago, they made a joke about this purple velvet rope. You know, they have outside clubs that the bouncers have to unclip and let you in. That was a symbol of your reach. A stupid people. And I can't remember who it was who said it. I think it was Winston Churchill who said, I would never, or Mark Twain, I would never join a club that would have me as a member. Because he was trying to say, your consideration and your aspirations to assign people you belong and you don't, keep that.
And over time, it just got deeper and deeper, and the society got deeper and deeper where it is. The combination of that and no accountability, do what you want, the gates, people erecting structures and just doing what they want. That's where we are today. We have no levels of accountability. That's the primary issue.
Trinidad and Tobago feels like a nation where the children took over. Parents not around. We are making such foolish decisions. Look at our politics. I mean, now I know these people are your friends, Richard Blaize, and I point out a disclaimer. Nothing that I am saying is to be assumed that Richard Blaize is saying. But yesterday, the Minister of National Security, instead of standing with this child and saying, listen, she's a troubled child. She's a difficult child. I'm a parent and I know. And I will do what I could to help her. She will pay for what she do. But me and her mother, when we was together, we had pressure with nothing like that. All this clown come out to say, and he put out a release, no relative of mine was arrested. Now I want to know, at some point, that little girl knew you as daddy. Whether you are the biological Richard Blaize, whether he was the biological father or not, at some point that little girl, because he in the past referred to her as his stepdaughter. How does that change?
It tells you the nature, the character that
how
you're
does that
dealing with.
change?
There's no change. There was never a change.
How you could undo your parent? How you could undo your child?
The bottom line is, Philip, if you are genuine in that, then there's no undoing. How could you undo your child?
How you could unlove a child?
Whether it is a biological or a stepchild, if you decide to take up responsibility for someone's child, you stand with your... Now, if you look at the minister's background, well, we can understand why there's this deviation all over the place, right?
See, he would know them things. People just call me half a 1%, but Blaize know the 1%. He just romp with them.
At the end of the day, as you say, it's a stepdaughter. How you define a stepdaughter? Not your biological child.
Mr. Man, anybody that defending that foolishness that Stuart Young put out in Trinidad and Tobago.
And that's shameful. That is really shameful.
Despicable.
Very shameful.
It is despicable.
At the end of the day, come out and say, why would you want to hide to come out and say, listen, at some point in time, yes, I was involved with this child's mother. We lived together. This child's with me. They have had her issues. And she has made poor decisions.
The man moved like Pontius Pilate. The man washed his hand on the child. Before the cock crow, he gave me every biblical reference. Peter, Judas, and Pontius Pilate. Before the cock crow, he betrayed the child, washing hand of hand denier. The man is every of the worst characters in the Bible. No, I'm serious. Richard Blaize.
And you know, let me tell you something.
If that was me,
when Stuart Young was put in the role of Minister of National Security, on a talk show, every single person, the question was, what do you think? And every single caller that called in on that talk show said, give him a chance. And I called the host. And I said, let me ask you a question. If you are diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, you want to give a first-year medical student a chance to cure you?
No, not
Because
at all.
That is
Listen, you know what? You park up on the runway. Everybody late. We go in New York. They can't find the pilot. The fellow outside who's sweeping the runway, he say he see what them just do and he could take a try. You will let him come in and fly the plane? You will let him
why
come
are
in
we doing that right
because
now?
Because the children running.
Don't talk about rubbish about giving me a chance.
A chance. Chances for dance and party. Anthony DeFour, I want to ask you a question. You own a lot of businesses. As an employee, as somebody who deals with human resources on a daily and an hourly basis, how do you abandon people when they get in trouble? Much less a family member. How do you abandon and throw them under the bus, fling them under the bus?
And let me tell you something. In short, that's who you are.
Correct.
If you are prepared to
that revealed him.
disown that person.
That revealed him. That revealed him. That revealed him. That revealed him.
Nothing we don't know already.
Okay, Richard, he didn't need to put out that release. Let Trinidad talk. You in politics. I in politics. I don't get a public salary. I'm not in a public office. And they just jam me and lambaste me. Hope the haters, they drinking haterade with my name. But you had to take that. Because that is how Trinidadians express themselves. Look at Gary Griffith. Half of them people that this morning loving Gary was cussing Gary last week.
That's right.
Cussing him.
Yes.
I watched them cuss Brian Lara.
Compared to the reports you see with Yui, now they're vexed with him.
Yeah.
People breaking the law to protest.
No, but keep it short. Yui, they want to hang him.
They run him down.
They want to lynch him.
They run up his chest. And down his spine and up another area.
David Rudder sing about when we turn on the cricketers rally around the West Indies and they talk about Michael Holden. He gain all, fire him. I watched Trinidad cuss Brian Lara. This boy overrated. Where did I get he from? Don't tell me about captain. And when that man hit 375, it was 375.
Story change.
The same people that was cussing him. Boy, I always knew, boy.
Let me take a paraphrase on you and stick up him, because we live in a society now where exactly what is going on here, we tend to want to place everything now on the Commissioner of Police. But at the end of the day...
And set him up to fail, eh?
Yeah.
They're going to set him up to fail. Richard, yesterday evening, rushing to get back home to do my live video last night. I driving through Shiley, going fairways to visit my family. Robert Amar, the owner of this studio, flagged me down in the street.
But I was at a children's party Sunday with Christian.
But, and listen now, Robert, right there, flagged me down in the street. I said, but Robert, like he was expecting me. He said, boy, they now rob the girl, hit she in the head, gun, all kind of thing. And I couldn't believe, and people don't seem to understand that in a minute, this thing changes. In a minute, you don't know who's watching you, who's stalking you, who's marking you. And that's just crime. Yeah,
but let's not lose what the point I was trying to make, because is a fellow like to jump in and jump out.
As a guy like that. So play elastic as a child. Jump in, jump out.
Let's not lose sight of the bigger picture here. And that is what is happening now, that right now this Commissioner of Police seems to be slowly but surely gaining ground in it, is a symptom of what is going on. Is a symptom of porous, wide open, bustle borders. We have absolutely no...
So you're asking the question then, Richard Blaize. Are you asking the question this morning, where them drugs come from?
Well, it didn't come from Highland Park.
She didn't buy them. Grandpa Young didn't float her Scotia loan.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. Colombia, Mexico, having a special right now, Christmas special. And she take a Scotia loan.
Thanksgiving sale. What really going on here?
Where them drugs come from? Gary said his estimation was $10 million. Where them drugs come from? Where them drugs come from? And that is where they want to fight me for the gate. Somebody come on my thread yesterday. You see, that's why the people wanted the gate. I said, what, to keep the police out? What? That is all the gate what I do. Yeah. Because the drugs inside by you. Exactly. The drugs by you.
Exactly.
So there's a bigger issue right now of border protection that is being completely ignored. And all we getting is lip service completely ignored. 2016, Keith Rowley told the Speaker of the House that they're going to introduce maritime border.
He lied.
So it's either...
He lied.
What year was that?
2016.
2016.
Faris Al-Rawi said when Edmund Dillon was the Minister of National Security that the PNM always knew.
I have a question to ask.
Wait. Faris Al-Rawi, your Attorney General, he said the PNM always knew that border security was the solution to crime.
The military in any country, one of the primary functions of a military, a defense force, in Trinidad they call it the defense force, is border protection and emergency scenarios, or coup and whatever have you. In this country, besides doing nothing when they're not doing anything, is they take them to do joint patrols with the police. And where they patrol? Frederick Street, Park Street, Abercrombie Street. So rather, there's several dysfunctional avenues here that are taking place. Our borders continue to be left wide open. The gates are wide open for business. I shudder to say.
Are you saying that Trinidad is a narco-state?
1,000%.
1,000%? So I want to ask you a question. Then Richard Blaize, you are the National Security Advisor to the Progressive Empowerment Party. You're a man in the security business for your whole adult life. I want to ask you a question. If we know that securing the borders is the solution, and we have all the different means and mechanisms to secure the border around this 2x4 nation, and Rowley not doing it, and Kamla didn't do it, and Pandey didn't do it, and Manning didn't do it. If the Scott drug report in the 80s warned this nation of a tsunami of cocaine that drowned us, that corrupted our entire public sector, that took state contracts, because a lot of those state contracts, you see that go on. When they talk about state contracts, those contracts are to wash cocaine dollars, you know. You're paying workers with cocaine dollars, and you're getting paid by the state, Ministry of Works, Ministry of National Security. There are people who own lotto machines that all them doing whole day is playing play with. Nobody else, you know. Known to the public. Them playing play with. You put all money on all the numbers, one must win. And you're getting a National Lotteries Control Board check. Richard Blaize, why has no Prime Minister to date secured this nation's borders?
You said it already, no, so I can repeat what you said. Gangsters don't tell them gangsters.
Well said.
Anthony DeFour.
Well said.
We started talking this when we knew about a maritime security wall that required building platforms out in the sea and manning it with Coast Guard and Army and police. Do you know that now there are sonar boys that you could run a ring around this nation and stop them right there, interceptor boats based right there on the land, attack helicopters, drones. You could send drones.
Let's not haggle over that logistics. The fact of the matter is, it is a known fact that we possess the technology and the expertise to lock down our borders. A shrimp can't pass unless the authorities know. It's not being done. It's just, look, okay.
No, but for the people who listen outside there, who don't know, who think, nah boy, how you gonna stop boat from coming in your country? They don't know. You see, they're not seeing the information that you have. They don't see the New York City Police Department and the Coast Guard work in harmony. That if you cross the 2-mile line outside New York City, and
you're intercepted. You're intercepted.
Right.
You're instructed to yield.
You are stopped.
All right?
Dead in the water.
You are delayed.
Don't yield.
And if you don't want to yield, you will be detained. And if you resist, you will be destroyed.
That's right. That is right.
It's a simple case like that.
Yeah, but you can't say that because the Attorney General stood up in the Parliament and said in this post-9/11 world, that a shipment of cocaine was sent to Norfolk, Virginia, that they had no sender and they had no receiver. So we could have sent a nuclear bomb to America and to Canada.
I don't go on like Philip over and over told you, right? We already know what is taking place. This entire government has to be removed. Yeah. All
removed, fired,
removed, whatever.
Made redundant.
Held accountable.
That righty. You see that?
To be held accountable.
Held accountable.
But to deal with this scenario...
Yeah, but you can't say that and leave the UNC behind. Because the UNC deserve to be held accountable too.
No, they will.
But I was going to say, but you're jumping again like it's hopscotch.
They have to be.
Right?
They have to be. These administrations have held public office.
No. We have to go back as far as Johnny O'Halloran.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Now start to talk.
Yes.
And come right up the road.
Yes.
Right? This is a two-tier thing. When you're dealing with this scenario, because you have to deal with the ones on top and the ones on below and bring it in like that. Because, like we said, don't feel who they hold yesterday, pay for those jobs.
Oh God, come here, man. She could tell them. She could tell them where you get the coke from. Lost you in jail.
Yeah.
The boys who get sentenced, I think they get life in prison for the Monas drug bust, the $600 million, is a set of little Piper boys, a set of little John Street. I'm telling you, driving pirogue. The court deal with what they get in front of them. But where was the law enforcement to go and find the people who have the capacity and the ability to bring in that much cocaine.
That's right. That's right.
We have so much allegation floating around in this country. This is a nation where you have people in high society living on the tops of the hills, and they build their fortune on two-store in town. And people not stupid. When you have to offload cocaine from a pirogue, you ain't doing it. Your children ain't doing it. It's not people from Goodwood Park Fairways or Valsayn doing it. You hiring workers, and those workers talk. Boy, if you see coke, we move, boy. When they was going to hang Dolce, and you was listening to fellas like Joey Ramaya and them talk, when you read the testimony from that is interesting reading, you know.
Yeah.
Go and read the case of the state versus Dolce and others. Go and read that. And you read the kind of talk Joey Ramaya and them was talking. And you will understand, and that was then. Trinidad's criminality has gotten sophisticated and left the entire law enforcement and justice systems behind.
For years.
What happens next?
For years.
What happens next?
The
Super
point
Gary.
The point I'm trying to make is, yes, and that is a dangerous
Super Gary.
framework that we getting into, this Super Gary, because at
They
the
put
end of
the
the
whole
day,
nation
all
on
of
Super
the
Gary.
protective agencies have to come together. So that it has to work in tandem. There's so much he could do. He could only deal with what happened
Exactly.
here.
But there's all these different state bodies that he
This
needs
is a
to be
speck.
working
Trinidad
with.
and Tobago, 2 specks in the ocean. You cannot tell me that you can't stop these things from coming. You're seeing on social media, everything from cow to bird
Listen,
coming off.
Hold on. If Gary is the only man in a public office, yes, he's the commissioner of police and he's the only one doing the job. Yes. What about everybody else that holds a public office? What about all the other police?
And that is a good point.
But the
Richard,
commissioner of police has responsibility for so much, and no
I want to jump in there with what Tony just said, because what Tony...
it comes back to the administration that he's...
and you see, again, so you make my point, because this is it. When the Prime Minister was sworn in, he said something, and I don't know if Ches could find that clip for you to hear, but the Prime Minister said, the buck stops here. Where the buck? Where the buck? Because when you fail, this morning when I did that live video, I walked through the traffic in Diego Martin, I walked through it among the cars to show Trinidad that a Baco and a Baba Green, this evening, by tomorrow, the traffic to come out of Diego Martin solved. It is like we want to frustrate people in this country and leave them with nothing to say. That is where leadership comes from. Where's the Minister of Works? We're talking Ministry of National Security this morning. You know, before Gary Griffith have to deal with those criminals, social development and management and education have to deal with molding them. They have to mold them.
Let me tell you something. We are losing
generations.
Generations.
We're losing generations.
We are losing them. And nothing is being done to change that. The education system is designed, is set up
to fail.
To fail.
To fail.
To destroy
to
you.
fail.
Now, let me tell you, not only the children, the teachers are under pressure to meet the
adults,
curriculum.
parents.
The adults are being traumatized. My son just did SEA. Let me tell you something. Traumatic
That's the biggest crime in this country.
Children.
The SEA is the biggest crime in this country. And the SEA...
But my wife glad because she lose weight.
No,
she's fighting with that.
You see, and you know that's the best thing about Trinidadians.
Right?
We have a sense of humor that will take us through a war. But I want to say something. The SEA, that SEA exam that replaced common entrance is a crime against humanity.
Of course it is.
It's a crime against humanity that you could say that you have a place for every child, but then admit some places better than others. Because you wouldn't need a competition if all the schools were the same.
But my question is...
But I want to make that point. You wouldn't need a competition if you have enough places for every child. Why would you need a competition? Why would they have to fight to leave their school to go to St. Joseph or to Holy Name or to Presentation? Why not just continue on for 10 years? That's what the Progressive Empowerment Party asks. That's what Finland does. Finland, that has the highest standard of education in the world, says, don't separate sheep from goat and fish from fowl. Educate all. Teaching is one of the best ways to learn. Children use more of their neural pathways than you will ever have access to in your life. Give them the opportunity to carry each other and they learn more and they learn better. Richard Blaize.
Again, I concur with that. We do nothing. National security, yes. I mean, the primary ruling you get on national security is the protection of people from domestic and foreign threat. But here, it's 50 years of just runaway we're dealing with right now. But, and in order to protect the future of Trinidad and Tobago, we have to protect the children. They are the future.
Boy, Richard, my only take is, how does a Minister of Education still have a job if you could come on a public podium and say half of your school population failed in everything?
And that's what we
the National Security Minister could go into court is ordered to return property and items that he took from somebody illegally and comes back and still has a job. Yeah. It's the same way. Because it's
but what about Moses? What about Moses? Your Foreign Affairs Minister? He's a serial lawbreaker now. They swear him in as a government minister. He wasn't even a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. Rowley should have get fired for that. He wasn't even a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. He broke the law by Hyatt. Embarrassed the police. Now they want to embarrass airports authority.
Tell me this
so
thing.
We could go on here talking and find...
No. Come back to education, brother. Because you see, when you're saying that, if you treat with the social management of the country, you do not need a Ministry of National Security. If you secure your borders,
agreed.
But your internal crime fighting, Super Gary, all that nonsense, you do not need that if you're managing the country properly. When Wayne Sturge told me, Philip, he said, listen, and you see Gary and Wayne Sturge fighting publicly. But if I was the Prime Minister tomorrow, one on the left and one on the right, because you need them people. They understand the criminality in this country. But as Richard is saying, you also need a proper Minister of Education. And you need a proper Minister of Social Development and Management. Because when you finish, deal with the fallout of the failure of the last administrations to properly manage and mold minds and develop characters. We've created, when Wayne Sturge told me, he said, listen, when you have 20,000 children do SEA and they go forward, in the next 5 years, a couple thousand will go on to tertiary education. Not many, 3,000 maximum will go on to tertiary education out of this 20,000. That leaves 17,000, 15, 16-year-old children. Out of those, 5,000 will do well enough in school. They can't afford tertiary education, but they will do well enough in school to get a decent mid-management position, supervisory position, get themselves slipstream into a career. That leaves about 12,000 children behind. Of those 12,000 children, 5,000 get to go and twirl baton for security guard company, pack dinner box for KFC, create the minimum wage underclass that we take for granted, disrespect, because we make them so, because our education system and our social, we good at blaming it. Blame the mother, blame the father, blame the community, blame the teacher. We good at that. We're not good at accepting responsibility for the society as a whole. We don't understand that all raindrops can contribute to the flood. When you have 4,000 and 5,000 children that get no passes or that fail out of the system completely, what do we think happens to them?
That's the gas where
what happens to them?
They feel disconnected and abandoned.
Where do they go to pay for their shoes and the rent and the house and the food?
They're not working, so they have to take it from somebody.
Exactly.
And animosity is formed against other persons in society who are doing well. Because they all of a sudden they had a golden spoon and they never had that opportunity. So they turn to crime. That's what's going on right now.
Again,
and it's
could the Minister of Education still be
Tony,
employed?
we know how. We need to
but not just this one.
I want to tell you something. I need to tell you something. Both of you also. We need to move away from that. We all know what the issue is. The time our focus has to be rallying people.
But Richard Blaize, you have Tim Gopi Singh and Terence, Tim Gopi Singh and Anthony Garcia as the tip of the spear. The two of them are arguing about who could fail better. You have Terence Dialsing and Ford Khan arguing about who could fail better. When you look at the PNM and the UNC, all you see is degenerates, malcontents, incompetence, mismanagement, failure, corruption, racism. The PNM and the UNC are two sides of the cancer that have destroyed this nation.
Yeah.
And they did it in a 50-year period. So a lot of work has to be done.
At the same time, Dubai and Singapore went on to become first world developed nations.
But we need a starting point. Richard, we need a starting point.
Just put on orange, you know, you got to go, you know.
We have to start.
Put on orange.
As you say, put on orange. You all know to tell the people that this Sunday at 9 a.m., the entire nation is invited to join with us and the United Nations as we have the Peace, Solidarity and Awareness Walk around the Queen's Park Savannah under the United Nations rubric, Orange the World. Walk with us to raise the issue of gender violence. Starting point is at 19 Stanmore Avenue, Port of Spain at 9 a.m. The walk moves off at 10. Dress code is orange. Join us. Feel free to bring your family. If you have people in wheelchairs, bring them. If you're on crutches, we will have vehicles following the walk. everybody in this country, all males, all females, sisters, brothers, mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, grandpa, grandma, everybody, come and walk. It is a sad indictment that in 2018, we are still talking about violence against women. This nation is failing. We cannot pretend otherwise. To make memes about Stuart Young's stepdaughter, to pretend that Super Gary lock up that drugs, because that is not even spit in the ocean. If this is a nation that found 600 million in Mona, 600 million to Norfolk, 400 million to Canada, 300 million to Vietnam, $1 billion to Spain, if that's the kind of cocaine that we hold, what pass? What pass?
What passed before?
Why are these people not being held to account? Which public office is supposed to ask the Attorney General and say that is not good enough? You cannot tell me that somebody was able to ship cocaine to Norfolk, Virginia without a manifest, without a bill of lading, without a name of designated sender and a receiver. I refuse to accept that. Faris Al-Rawi has lied to this nation, and the parliament sat dumb and sat mute and left the people abandoned to foolishness. Richard Blaize, this cannot continue. This country is going to collapse.
We keep saying it over and over, and it's there. It's all there. It's on social media. It's happening every day. It's unfolding in front of you every day. The country is being sold off every day, and the people have to stand up and do the right thing now.
Nobody's telling one another. They're telling one another, you vote for that, you vote for that. Right. Kick out the PNM, lock up the UNC. Forget that foolishness. Stop defining your political experience through two corrupt racist cults.
It's time to move away from even the keyboard warriors on social media. It's time to start acting, walking the walk.
Richard,
right now.
Everybody who have a mother should be walking on Sunday at 9 o'clock. Right. Everybody who have a mother in this country, where it's so easy for your mother to get cuffed down and kicked down fighting for a $50
When I shared that flyer about Sunday's walk, I put a tagline in it. It's time to start walking the walk now. I share it with people who are on Facebook every day, having whatever they have to say. That's all noble and everything. It's time to get up and get going. The Progressive Empowerment Party is the only party that is providing any real solutions for the real issues that
Where's
we
the rest of the
and
country? Where's the rest of the country on this issue of gender-based violence? 16 days of activism on the world front. Trinidad and Tobago had nothing to say. If Keisha Lewis, the chair of the Progressive Empowerment Party Women's Arm, didn't raise this issue, if Chairman Felicia Holland, PRO Janice Lemon-Criqui weren't on the airwaves beating this issue, where would we be now as a nation? We would have ignored such a critical issue in a country where a man leave a party in carnage, shoot his wife in the head and shoot himself and leave a little boy to grow up alone. We're not even having these conversations. I raised the issue this morning, and some of the people were making points. Believe she is, she's adult, she know better. We don't understand that we don't know, so we parroting bullshit. We are not speaking sensibly as people. I'm trying to get Trinidadians to understand, yes, she is wrong. Yes, she broke the law. Yes, there must be consequences. But let us grow beyond that conversation and see how this child came to become this devil. She had to grow up in hell. People need to understand this. That's who we are. And this girl and every little black boy from Mova, Bitam, Lavatel, Silot, Cokerit, Harding Place, Abipujat, Begyard and Scorpion, Enterprise and Mbakade, all of these little fellas that are grist for the mill, for cannon, for the crime cannon in this country, all of them are the same. She now puts a palatable face to middle class Trinidad and Tobago to watch and see. We are failing the children of this country.
True.
I have always been an advocate that children, we need to start reinstilling a very deep sense of spirituality back into them. Our culture, our history, we have lost that, and everything now is this digital age. But where we see where our youth are heading to, I am an advocate for strong works together, unions together between the ministries, national security, social welfare, police, all to work closer with the youth and reintroduce or introduce a very deep, strong foundation in spirituality of all denominations, Hindu, Muslim, Baptist, Roman Catholic, and really start to reinstill a sense of, number one, self-respect into our youth and respect for
when you're saying that,
parents.
what I now type here, because I keep saying this, and the Progressive Empowerment Party, I mean, you say it, you touch it spot on. Because when Eric Williams gave the nation the watchwords discipline, tolerance, and production, he was building a slave farm. He was trying to build obedient workers. Why aren't our national watchwords excellence, respect, and harmony? Those are the things that lack in our society. Our people are not aiming for excellence. We respect nothing, and social integration is collapsing, deliberately mismanaged by political parties to their benefit.
Where the society has no respect for anyone. They have no respect for themselves. That's why they kill it like they swat a mosquito. They have no respect for authority. The protective services, police and military, command absolutely no respect. They command respect out of fear. Out of fear. But where you're supposed to be able to turn to military personnel and look at them as your primary defenders of your nation. Feel proud of them because your children can walk the streets. You can't do that here.
Absolutely.
And we need to start from there. Let me tell you something. I believe in getting your own house in order before you go out to see what somebody
Absolutely.
else. This is the only country in this whole wide world that God created where it is against the law for you to drive without a seatbelt, but the police can do it. It is against the law for you to drive using a cell phone, but the police can do it. Now, seatbelts are a safety gadget. What rule, what HSE rule in the world circumvents a safety?
They say there's a jump on the van fast.
Yeah. I mean, really?
Fast. But then
Really?
why they don't take off the doors?
go
Why they
to
don't take off the doors? Why they take off the doors?
Go to Florida. You ever see? Look at the police
No, but
officers in
the
Florida.
ticket bears ridiculous.
About 30 pounds of equipment on them. From bulletproof vests, about 3 different types of guns. Have on their vest and they come out.
And
So
strapped.
Take
you need
off
to
the
get your house
doors
in
and
order
make it a
first.
joke and they will do it.
The bottom line is you need to get your house in order first before you go out there. Okay? And it's so much work that, as I said, we need to, as I said, instill values into our youth and start with that.
Well,
there's so many areas that need to be tackled. It's easy to say.
No, but come back to the respect thing. Come back to the respect thing, because look at teachers. I think that the greatest role in any nation after parenting is teacher.
Yes.
The teacher and the parents work together to mold minds and develop characters at an age and a stage where everything that you believe about the world is formed. If you grow up in a time of lack and you believe that everybody is abusive and aggressive, you will grow up defensive. If you grow up in a world of plenty and you are treated with love and respect, you treat the world that way. We learn what we live. We are literally creatures of conditioning. Psychologists, the first thing they do if you go for counseling is to assess who you are, so that they will understand when you say what you say, where you're coming from, because we interpret the world, you know. We don't deal with the world as it is. We interpret the world. To people who are friends of this girl, Christiana Sanga, they see her as a symbol of something positive, you know. This is the world we live in now with narcos and Queen of the South is a big thing. People actually say gangster and bandit
But that's what
is
media,
a profession.
But that's what media is.
But pop culture making a mess of it.
This is it. It's the music. It's the movies. It's the series. All this information that youths are assimilating today is a big part of the problem.
You make a very good point there, because I always found too that in national security in Trinidad, we need to get involved with our local performers, our soca artists, because some of the lyrics that are coming out there. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to tell you what you can sing and what you cannot sing.
Bro,
but I wanted to start with you.
You're walking in an area that I kind of have a little info on, well, being a part of. And let me tell you, in the music industry, while I was abroad, everyone in the music industry, listening to our music coming out of our shows, has said to me, Trinidad and Tobago's music have no lyrical content.
No, it's destructive.
It's been that way.
It's destructive. It's hypnotic. What we create is hypnotism in a beat, And then you listen, and I can't believe we segue to this.
I know, right?
Human beings are sexual animals. Everybody want to have sex. If that were not true, all of our music wouldn't be built on sex. It's either you're trying to get sex, you lost sex, you want sex. All of our advertising. Look at our advertising. Look at our, when last you turn on the TV and saw a woman 250 pounds pointing at a washing machine? Yeah. You don't see that. Yeah. Everything is sex. You ever see a man missing teeth with unless they're trying to make fun of him? Yeah. It's all about sexuality. We sexualize the world. We are a sexual people.
But even if
our music,
our
music took that and turned it on its head, and our culture, because what is Trinidad Carnival now has nothing to do with what Carnival came from.
That's right.
What we have is an organized, all-inclusive sexual romp for 2 days on the Nations Road. And I ain't no prude. Let me tell you something. I am the opposite of a prude. But when you're dealing with social management of a country, you have to understand, you can't plant orange and pick onion. What you sow is what you're going to reap. We've sown a degraded, mismanaged, functionless society. We make fun and jokes about things that we should take very seriously, and we have no understanding of what responsibility and accountability means. This morning, I said, Stuart Young, you have demonstrated a sad lack of decency and maturity. At some point, you were important to that young lady as a parent. Now that she finds herself in deep trouble, you abandon her. What were you and her mother, Maria, doing when this child was running off the rails? And now that the consequences of her bad decisions and failed parenting have come home to roost, instead of admitting to any parenting challenges a broken relationship may have created, you abandon her instead of offering to assist? The nation is desperate for fall guys and deserve their full 5 minutes of righteous anger. But this little girl, like many of the other youths of all races caught up in this life of fast-paced criminality and easy money, is certainly not the tip of the spear. Again, Mr. Minister of National Security, before rushing to deny her, why did you not use the moment to address the issue of this nation's porous borders, or the fact that no government to date, including your own, has seen it fit to protect the nation and its children from this scourge? Who is the importer of those drugs? Certainly not this foursome, unless Grandpa Young floated her a Scotiabank loan. Where did this small mountain of drugs come from? There are many issues to be addressed here that won't be as long as we are content to grind up the small fish and let the big fish swim away to corrupt and break other young people. This young girl, like so many other youths led astray by failed parenting and the lure of easy, fast money and the flash of the wild lifestyle, is as much a victim here as anyone. And while she must, of course, pay the consequences of her choices, we as a society cannot pretend that arresting her and charging her and other wasted youths is good enough in a nation that has been named in the transshipment of hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars worth of illegal drugs. Stuart Young, you're abandoning this young lady in her hour of greatest need, when she needs every version of parenting to guide her away from this life more than ever, shows you for the heartless, soulless, I can't say what I wrote there, you really are. Shameful display from a weak and little man. My point is, parenting don't stop because your child gets in trouble or because you and the child mother break up. Parenting don't stop.
True. It's an ongoing job till you close your eyes.
Yeah.
And
You're
then
talking about my grandmother cut my tail as a big man. I'm telling you.
I can't laugh when you're laughing. My parents will beat me now. My parents will beat me now. People who know my parents. My father can't walk, you know. Wait right there. Wait till I reach.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, you had a son up and you had a hobble over to you.
No, but this is what like what you said. Where is that level of respect? How youths had that respect for your elders. When in my time growing up, you couldn't pass someone older than you and not acknowledge them. Good morning, good afternoon, auntie or uncle, or you know what I mean, that kind of thing, bro.
And the whole, so let me tell you something. The reason why I say it has to have a whole social infrastructure is simple. And I tell my staff this all the time. People don't do what you expect, they do what you inspect. And this is where we are right now in Trinidad and Tobago. Because there's no accountability, nobody's looking at you. Yeah. So you do what you want. You're walking on Arpita Avenue, you feel to take a leak, it happened right there. On Princess Elizabeth home, the wall. Okay? I saw coming back from Maracas on Saddle Road in a jam, bumper to bumper traffic. The guy in front of me, the guys in front of me came out of their vehicle, walked to the car in front and urinated on the lady's bumper with a car seat and a child inside of it. Richard, and then got back into the car on Saddle Road.
Richard Blaize on the corner of this street. Richard Blaize on the corner of this street. That school was here before this nation was independent. Look at it. Look how the class is.
Shameful, beyond shameful.
Look at it.
So, you know, we know all of this is taking place. What we here to talk about is the solutions and what we will do.
And one of these solutions is this Sunday's Raising Awareness Walk around the Savannah. Join us at 19 Stanmore Avenue at 9 a.m. The walk takes off at 10. We are walking together with Missing Persons, TT, Healing with Horses, Women Everywhere, Womantra, network of NGOs, the Caribbean Kids and Family Therapy organizations under the umbrella of the United Nations, Orange the World, the Progressive Empowerment Party, and all of the rest of civil society. Every single Trinidadian, Tobagonian, every resident, if you're here and you have the time, come and join us. In fact, make the time. Bring the family and come, because this issue needs to be raised in the public space. No longer can we turn a blind eye while women suffer in silence at the hands of broken and brutal men.
Trinidad and Tobago, it's time to start walking the walk. We need to come out and support this venture. It's just, I don't want to go on and on. There's nothing more that can be said. It's time to start to walk the walk.
And as you say that, we are joined in the studio by the chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party, Felicia Holder, and by PRO Janice Lemon Cricky. So I am going to make my chair available to one of them so that they can use the last few minutes of this broadcast to discuss this issue. Don't waste time.
Good morning. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And thank you, Philip, Tony, and Richard. You all put on a really good show this morning. I really enjoyed it. Actually, Philip, some commendations from me from George Gonzalez. He said you're a really good friend of his, and he said you're a great guy. So Janice and I feel proud to know that we work with somebody who came with so many commendations. Just what Philip, Tony, and Richard were saying, this Sunday at 9 a.m. at our headquarters, 19 Stanmore Avenue, we are gathering for the Orange the World Walk, which is the theme for the United Nations awareness against the elimination of violence against women and girls. This year, the Progressive Empowerment Party took front on this initiative. There have not been any major events or activities, and in recognition for this movement, for the epidemic that is a problem here in Trinidad and Tobago, we have spearheaded and we are encouraging other NGOs, other civil groups to come walk with us, come raise awareness for this issue that is so very troubling. I mean, just very recently we had some kidnappings happening in the country, and as a woman, I mean, it's one of my reasons for getting involved in politics. You don't feel safe, and if we don't have a discussion about it, if we don't do something about it, and not just from the perspective of women, we need men to be involved as well. And I'm so very happy to say that on this team we have men who understand this as an issue and are so very supportive of making this awareness walk a success. Janice?
Good morning to the listening public. Yes, I want to echo what Felicia has just indicated. Do come out. We need as women to stand up. We need to support each other. We need to be there for each other. We need to be able to not just stand up, but also contribute to the women who are being, who do have to experience violence. So come out in your numbers on Sunday. We look forward to having all of you. Please wear orange, as that is the color for the initiative. And we look forward to everybody chatting and sharing their experiences on Sunday. If you can't make the 9 o'clock, please join us along the way, because we will be going around the savannah holding a bolt of orange fabric. So find us wherever we are and fall in and come and enjoy the day and be part of this great awareness exercise.
Yeah, thank you.
And I would like to say, I am incredibly proud of the depth of the resource that is the Progressive Empowerment Party. If ever anybody wanted to judge a political organization judge it on its policies, its programs, its ideas, judge it on the personnel, judge it on how diverse and how deep, judge it on the communication and the conversations. We lead a national narrative now, and it is all about change. It is all about bringing us back to a nation that works. Family, community will fix the country. We need to treat with all of our people with dignity and respect and give them hope and opportunity. Education, healthcare, home ownership, affordable food. The list is short, and it is important that if we address those issues, we will not be needing to fight crime in the trenches. We won't need water cannons and big guns. We need to secure the nation. We need to secure the people, but we need to give our people jobs, and we need to make sure that that is a government front burner issue. As long as people do not have jobs, what are they supposed to do? We are creating crime and then fighting crime. What is that? That is a game. We are making fools of the country. We are not leading. We are making a mess. You need to vote into office a government that understands that the well-being of every citizen is the function, purpose, and reason for government. And if we get a government into office disconnected from the 1%, disconnected from the finances, the plans that will operate the country, the projects that will be built, the jobs that will be done, the things that will get national attention, will change the way we do government and change the condition for all of our people from now going forward. Trinidad and Tobago is a nation desperate to be born. We have yet to elect people to office that understand how important the citizenry is. And this is the time. We are at the point now where everything is failing. The people of Trinidad and Tobago, you need to understand that you own this country. You are the stakeholders, you are the shareholders. Your labor, your consumption, and your vote is the sum total of the nation. And what you do with your vote next will determine where we go from here. Thank all of you. Thank everyone who joined me in the studio this morning. Anthony DeFour, Richard Blaize, Felicia Holler, Janice Lemon Cricky. Thank you to Chairs for operating for us so professionally. Thank you to all the loyal listeners. Thank you to 104.7. Thank you to the Progressive Empowerment Party and all the members of this party. Stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.